Hey everybody, again, thanks for following this little series that I'm doing, and welcome back. So a lot of questions people ask me is Man Parrish my real name? And that's sort of a yes and no kind of answer. My real last name is Parrish. My father's parents were from Poland, and during the war, they changed their name from Prushansky to Parrish because they thought the Germans were going to put everybody with a Polish name, in a concentration camp or something. So I'm adopted, but my adopted parents changed it to Parrish. So Man is a whole other story. Manny, or Manuel, is my real name, and way back in the 70s, if you follow my last blog, I didn't have any money, and I met a photographer named Chris Makos, and he was working with Andy Warhol. And I loved hanging out with Chris because Chris used to go to dinner parties, and I got to meet people and I got to eat when I didn't have any money. I mean, it was also a friendship too, but and I think Chris had a little bit of a boy crush on me. So it was kind of cool hanging out with Chris Makos. He'd take me on photo shoots, and we'd either go back to his place or go out with people to eat, so I was able to eat food. In fact, one of the great things about hanging out with Chris is he would go, because of Interview Magazine and these interviews, he'd go to all these great, amazing places. Like, I remember going to Halston, the designer Halston. We went to his house, like, after Studio 54 once, and I think it was, like, everybody wound up there one day after we went to Studio 54, and I'll tell a whole other story about Studio 54, but I remember it was like a brownstone on the Upper East Side, and the whole inside was designer gutted out, and the living room was sunken, and along one wall was a staircase, but it didn't even have any banisters. It was kind of like these cool steps hanging out of the side of the wall to a balcony above, and sunken living room with one of those sectional kind of couches, which was all new. And it was like Andy Warhol, Mick Jagger, Liza Minnelli, Halston. I forgot who else was there. And everybody was drinking and getting high and just chilling out. So some people also ask, like, why are all these celebrities around? We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter. And New York City, even though it was a big city, the club scene wasn't that big. So if you were living in New York City and wanted to go out, there were only 3 or 4, 5 clubs that you went to that were cool. And all these people in a city of millions and millions of people, the hipsters, what we call today, the celebrities, they would hang out in these specific places. So if you hung out in those places, you kind of got to know them, right? They're, oh yeah, you're Andy Warhol, or you visit Studio 54 or something like that. So then, hey, we're going over to blah, blah, blah. You want to come over and hang out after the club kind of scene. Anyway, so Chris Makos was working for Andy Warhol's Interview Magazine, and we had gone up to interview offices, and Andy Warhol years back had the factory and all that kind of stuff. So one of the columns in Interview Magazine, which was really a newspaper, and Interview Magazine, which was a newspaper, would be on the stands, and Richard, I can't remember his name, would do these incredible hand-painted, beautiful covers each, I think it was monthly. Was it weekly or monthly? They'd have celebrities and it'd be hand-painted. And when you saw it on the newsstand, there were black and white newspapers. There was the Soho Weekly News, the Village Voice, and here was Interview. Richard Goldstein had these incredible painted covers, and there would be some celebrity on it and stuff like that. So people grabbed Interview Magazine. Andy used to do personal interviews with people. And they had a column which was sort of like prominent downtown, underground New York, micro celebrities. So Chris said, I'm going to put you in one of these. So they did a little interview, and Chris took my pictures. He was a photographer. He was trained by the artist, the photographer Man Ray, and that's important in a second. So after doing my picture, we went up to the offices of Interview Magazine, and Chris was looking through the contact sheets with a little magnifier, and I was there. And Andy Warhol walks in, and it's like, hi, what are you doing? Oh, this is Man Parrish, and he's going to be the in that little column that I had mentioned. And Andy Warhol looked at me and said, Manny? He said, that's too common. You can't put Manny in there. He said, Chris, you work with Man Ray. So Andy said, I'm going to call you Man Parrish. I was like, okay, cool. Call me whatever you want, as long as, I get my face in the paper kind of thing. This is all before my record deal came out. Way before my record stuff. I was just a club kid in New York. And, about a week or two later or whatever, there I was in Interview Magazine as a prominent town, New York City micro-celebrity, what they call it. So that name Man Parrish kind of stuck. And when we would go places with Chris to meet all these people, he would always introduce me as Man Parrish. And it's funny, in the beginning, I would go, oh, Man Parrish, that's kind of like a weird name. I feel really uncomfortable. And I go, oh, but my name's Manny, say hello. So it took me quite a while to get comfortable with the name Man. But now I'm very proud that Andy Warhol christened me as Man Parrish. So that's a little history behind my name. I've got more Andy Warhol stories and all that kind of stuff. But I became known in the local club scene as Man Parrish, and that, of course, carried over to my record. And when everybody was named Mike and John and Stephen, who's this guy Man, I got to stand out when my name was in print from other people. So there's a little history on my name, Man. And again, thank you so much for listening to me. And hit that little subscribe button, please. And hit that little bell button. And when I upload these new vlogs, you'll get notice. And tell your friends, let's get this out there. One of these days, maybe this could be a Netflix series. That would be great. Anyway, or whatever company's doing this kind of stuff today. Thank you so much. Really, thank you for listening. It's been an honor to tell my stories finally.